What is going on, guys? This is my full card prediction and betting breakdown for UFC Fight Night Ankalaev versus Guskov this Saturday in Abu Dhabi. And let's just dive right into it with the first fight of the night being Cody Gibson versus Abdul Hussein. Abdul Hussein is making his UFC debut and actually coming off of a win in boxing. That was his last professional combat sports victory. Before that, he starched Tyson Nam on the regional scene with a nasty hook in the pocket. Now, Cody's got good boxing. He's decent from top position on the ground, but he's probably going to get smoked in this one if we're being realistic. On the feet, he's dealing with a really good boxer who also has great calf kicks and knees and a sub-threat on the ground if Cody does want to take him down. I think Abdul's probably going to put him out in a similar fashion that he put Nam out with. Maybe slip into the pocket, put Cody out with the right hand. Cody also dips a lot too, so I could maybe see him getting caught with a knee. But I'm going to say Abdul Hussein, round 1 KO. Average European citizen, by the way, representing Lebanon when Finland gave him everything that he could ever ask for. But let's move on to Narulo Aliev versus Mike Davis. This is a tough fight to predict. Davis is coming off of another 1-year layoff, and Aliev is coming off of a decision win against Shamrock last November. Both of these guys are really well-rounded fighters. Davis with a high-level BJJ game and good hands, while Aliev is quick and elusive on the feet with nice boxing and a good combat sambo base. It's really hard to say how Aliev's going to look, though. That's the problem. This is a big jump in comp. His last 2 fights are against Joe Selecki and Shamrock. And with that being said, I'm going to lean Mike Davis. I think Davis is going to struggle early on the feet with the speed of Aliev. It's going to be hard to take Aliev down, obviously. Look at the guy. It's probably not going to happen very easily. But as the fight goes on, we see that Aliev slows down. In that third round against Shamrock, I believe he threw like 5 significant strikes. You see his output drops a lot. He is visibly tired in the second half of the fight, and that'll work against a Joe Selecki or a Shamrock. But Mike Davis, he's got nice hands. He hits hard. He's a good grappler. I think Davis is going to start to take control of this fight in the later rounds, and I honestly see a finish. I think a Mike Davis third round TKO, that is my guess. It's a tough one to predict, though. Davis is an underdog in this one. I was kind of surprised to see how wide the line was. I think Davis is sitting around plus 185. I would consider betting on Mike Davis, but I'm probably just going to stay off this one and let the prediction ride. Mike Davis is my underdog pick of the card. I think he's got a solid shot in this one. So let's move on to the next fight, which is Magomed Tukulov versus Brenson Ribeiro. I think we all know why Brenson Ribeiro is here. It's to be on the wrong side of a highlight reel. He's on a 3-fight skid. It is against decent comp, but this is another tough test for him. Tukulov's got really nice hands. He likes his elbows in the clinch and has the grappling game to rely on too, as do all of these Magomeds and etc. from this part of the world. But yeah, I'm 100% positive that Tukulov knocks out Brenson in this one, either with an elbow up against a cage or maybe timing a right hand when Brenson's throwing a body kick. Brenson just looks so chinny, and it doesn't help that his boxing's really loopy. He throws wide shots. I think he's going to get beat to the punch if he tries to go first and get put out badly. You can see Tukulov maybe catching a kick in the first round and, stalling. Not stalling, but, winning the first round through top control. But even if that is the case, he's going to win early second round anyways. So, yeah, I've got Tukulov round 2 KO. Let's move on to the next fight, which is Ismael Bonfim versus Axel Sola. I think Sola is going to break Bonfim. There's some glaring holes in Sola's game. We saw that in the Mason Jones fight. His chin hangs up in the air. He struggles dealing with pressure, but Bonfim doesn't have the tool bag to capitalize on these things. Bonfim's going to be outsized, 3.5 inches in reach, 4 inches in height, and he doesn't have the durability of a Mason Jones to consistently pressure Sola. Or he doesn't have the reach of a Reese McKee, who also gave Sola some problems. Bonfim's going to struggle with the speed of Sola at range, and when he tries to close the distance, Sola's got really nice knees that are going to zap the air out of Bonfim. Body kicks are going to be huge for Sola too. The fight's going to be open stance. Sola's out of southpaw. I think maybe Sola will mix in some nice inside calf kicks to frustrate Bonfim, and eventually I expect Sola to land nice 1-2 put Bonfim out in the second or third round. So yeah, I got Sola by KO in this one. And let's move on to Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Sam Patterson. I think this is another really easy one to predict, as they typically are in Abu Dhabi. And that's Sam Patterson by early KO. Santiago's dropped 3 of his last 4. The one fight he won was against Carlson Harris in a fight where he got dropped bad twice in the first round. And Patterson's riding a 4-fight winning streak, all by finish. And this is before he got matched up by MVP and lost by decision. There's really no shame in that. At the beginning of Patterson's UFC career, I was actually extremely concerned for his safety. I literally thought he was going to die in that Yanos Moose fight, because at 155 he was just so chinny and his I don't know. I really thought he was going to have the worst UFC career of all time, and I faded him early even when he moved up to 170. But he's really impressed me. At 170, I'm now confident that he can take these shots, and he's proven it throughout his 5 fights at the weight class so far. Santiago's 39 years old now, hasn't fought in over a year, and is coming up against a very hungry, well-rounded fighter with proven punching power. Santiago's just going to be too stiff, too slow, too old for this one. I think he's going to struggle with the reach and height of Patterson. I think Sam rips a mean 1-2 down the pipe early and puts Santiago out cold. There's always a chance of a sub. Sam has the grappling, and I believe that's actually the strongest part of his game. But Santiago's got 39 pro fights, or 40 pro fights actually, 9 losses. None of those are by sub. 0 by sub. I think he has 5 losses by KO, 4 by decision. So with that in mind, I feel like you have to lean Sam Patterson KO. It's favored on the odds. I actually really like that bet. Sam Patterson by KO, sitting around plus 130. I think Sam's going to get him done early and maybe get a performance bonus out of it. So yeah, got Sam Patterson round 1 KO. Let's move on to Dustin Jacoby versus Muhammad Saeed. It's sort of the same thing as the Aliev fight, or the Nurullo Aliev fight, where I can't get myself to pick Saeed based off the fact that Saeed's never actually fought anyone good before. Like, the dudes he's winning against on the regional scene are a bunch of Brazilian unks and bums from around the Middle East. Like, he passes the eye test, and I actually think he is pretty good. He's a quick, dynamic striker. He's got great kicks, good power in the hands, but I feel like it's disrespectful to go against Jacoby in this one. Jacoby's a crafty vet, former pro kickboxer, and top 10 in the division right now. He's riding a 3-fight KO streak and has fought the best in the world. He's fought the best in the world. And Jacoby carries a lot of power in his punches. Saeed's actually never faced adversity in his career. Like, what is going to happen if his opponent doesn't immediately get slimed out with the first fucking spinning wheel kick that he throws 20 seconds into the fight? Like, Jacoby probably and shouldn't go out like that. I think the experience and ring time at the highest level is going to go a long way with him. Going to go a long way for him in this fight. I expect a second or third round KO for Jacoby in this one to keep the knockout streak alive. Maybe a decision, but his last 5 wins are by knockout, so I feel like you got to lean KO based off of that. So I'm going to go Jacoby round 2, round 3 KO. I would recommend to not bet on this fight because, I'm picking Jacoby out of principle, but I could definitely see a Muhammad Saeed fluke. He is actually good, so I would probably stay off of this one. I'm a huge fan of Jacoby, so I hope he wins. But yeah, they're giving this guy the Jacoby fight for a reason. Let's move on to Walter Walker versus Thomas Peterson. Don't overthink it. Walter is going to get another heel hook. I think Walter probably has 1 or 2 more of these in him before he actually faces someone that's good. But against these blobs, he's going to continue to do the same thing. Peterson is actually somewhat skilled for a blob, but Walter was able to pull off the heel hook against Kennedy Nezuchukwu. So that Kennedy has Letterman skill. Peterson still is just a blob at the end of the day. So I'm confident that Walter will be able to do the same thing again. He's done it 4 times in a row. Why not a 5th? Peterson is actually a decent wrestler, but it's not first of all, Walter isn't shooting these sick double legs and getting the heel hook. He's in half of those heel hooks, he's just fucking diving at the legs from range. And once he gets a hold of it, he's getting that hook. He's getting it. Yeah, he shot a good double leg on Louis Sutherland, but I think against Kennedy, he sort of just dove there, put himself in an awkward position, and then he taps. yeah, maybe Peterson can defend a double leg, but Walter, like Peterson's not fast. Walter can just literally sit on, like, just drop to his knees, pull out the foot, and he's done. Like, and Peterson trains out of like fucking Minnesota top team or some shit, bro. Like, it's not like he's getting these high level looks from like Extreme Couture or Syndicate or something like that. Like, he's fucking training with Steven Asplund, and that's it. And like a bunch of lumberjacks up in Minnesota. Like, he's not getting any good looks. I'm sure Walter Walker has been working on other aspects of his game too, training with Bogdan Guskov out of Gok MMA or some shit, like Gore MMA or some shit like that. So yeah, I'm pretty confident Walter gets this done. I'm going to take round 1 submission, and let's move on to the next fight, which is Abubakar Vagayev versus Saigid Isagakmaev. Fucking Christ. This is a tough one to predict. You know, Saigid's out of the Khabib camp, and he lost his UFC debut to Nicholas Dalby in a close one. I know Dalby's good, but I really did not rate Saigid's performance. He looked sloppy. I wasn't impressed with the stand-up. He was held up against the cage for a concerningly long period of time, and Dalby was able to reverse some bad positions Saigid put him in. Like, Saigid had a back take, I believe, late in round 2, and Dalby just turns over his hips and he gets top position for 50 seconds, and I believe that may have lost him the fight. Like, what happens when Saigid's up against a strong technical striker with even greater wrestling defense than Dalby? Like, I really rate Abubakar's striking too. He's got crisp and technical boxing, and I'm confident in his ability to keep this fight on the feet, walk down Saigid, pick his shots. You know, Saigid's durable, so I don't think he's going to get finished, but I expect a clean 29-28 or maybe a 3-round sweep from Abubakar on the score sheets, making his UFC debut. So yeah, let's move on to Rizvan Gunaev versus Tyrell Fortune. Both these dudes are blobs, right? Like, just take a look at the blokes. 1 blob, 2 blob. The difference is Kuniev is actually an S-tier blob. I would say he's alongside Waldo in the blob tier list, and then Fortune's maybe a B-tier blob. Like, at the end of the day, Kuniev is actually skilled, especially for a blob heavyweight. He's got good grappling, good stand-up, and is far more athletic than the average heavyweight. I mean, just comparing the recent fights shows you how much better of a fighter Kuniev is. Like, really close decision with blades. A win against Jailton Almeida is elite. And Fortune had a close, sloppy decision with Martin Tybura. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a levels fight. This is sort of a tune-up for Kuniev to maybe get him a finish and look back towards the top of the rankings, maybe at a Volkov, a Popovich, or something like that, for a later fight night main event in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi or Russia or some shit. Maybe China, probably. But yeah, I was honestly surprised at the odds in this one too, because I think Kuniev is only like a 3-1 favorite. I feel like he's free. Like, I don't see how Fortune's going to win this fight. He's not going to be able to get the wrestling game going. And of course, it's heavyweight, so he could always just land the fluke. But I expect Kuniev to be in control of this fight from the start. And as the fight goes on, I think Kuniev's going to start to mix in the grappling and overwhelm Fortune with his pressure. I don't know if I'm saying that right, if it's just Fortune. Maybe I'm retarded, but yeah, I think eventually the pressure is going to fold Fortune. And I'm picking round 3 ground and pound TKO from Kuniev, actually. I think he's going to get this done late. If he gets Fortune down, he's not getting back up. And I expect Gunaev to get this done by finish late in the fight. So yeah, I'm taking Rizvan Gunaev, 3rd round TKO. Let's move on to brother. It's Chanko. We got John Pork making his debut finally after almost a year from his Contender Series win. But all jokes aside, Chanko is an incredible striker. He mixes up shots extremely well. Calf kicks, teeps to the body. He'll go upstairs with a jab, rip a right hook to the body. And for being real, it's really just a showcase fight for Chanko. They have this on the main card in Abu Dhabi for a reason. Like, they know a sick performance from Chanko will go viral. They're probably going to give him a few of these tune-up fights before he gets a decent opponent. His opponent, Damien, actually is pretty solid, and I do rate him. He's a good striker, but I think Chanko with the Muay Thai style will be able to get this done via high output and really just the more tight and technical shots. The Muay Thai style is definitely vulnerable, in MMA with the 4-ounce gloves. And we did see Chanko get dropped in the first round in his last fight. But I think even if he does get dropped one round, I do expect Chanko to pull off at least 2 rounds in this one. I think Damian's going to be looking for one shot at a time, and if he does land a one big shot, Chanko's going to come back with 3, 4, 5, and with a calf kick, and he's going to step back out, and you're going to see the 6 strikes at the end of the first round. It's going to be like fucking 70 to 40 or 70 to 35 or some shit like that, and it's like, yeah, maybe Rizpeki or whatever the fuck his name is landing the bigger shots, but Chanko's going to be doubling the output, or maybe even tripling the output. So yeah, I expect this to go to, I think this is going to go to decision. The Chanko he's got a nice thud, but these Polish dudes are really tough. It's hard to put him out. Like, this dude trains with Rebecki. They're fucking savages. So I expect this fight to go to decision. I'm expecting a 30-27 sweep from Chanko on the scorecards, maybe 29-28 with a flash knockdown from Damian. But yeah, I think Chanko's going to get this one done on the scorecards. Chanko is also minus 300. Which I do like as well. So we'll talk about that later. I'm going to talk about my best bets on the card once we're done. But we still have a few more here with Islam Dulatov versus Beef Wellington. Beef Wellington is back after 3 years. I had no clue he was still in the UFC, and I'm shocked to see he wasn't cut after his 3-fight skid. I think Beef Wellington trains out of Teixeira Fitness with Pereira and the boys, but bro, he's cooked in this matchup. Dulatov, this is just another tune-up. You usually get a lot of these in Abu Dhabi for the guys, ending in OV, EV. But Dulatov is actually sick. Like, he's a nasty striker. He's great at range and lethal in the pocket with elbows and knees. He's got good instincts when it comes to defensive grappling, so I don't expect that to be an issue. He's going to have 3 inches of reach and height on Turman, the speed and power advantage. Yeah, this is a tough matchup for my boy Beef Wellington. I think Wellington's going to want to clinch up Dulatov, maybe take some of the heat out of Dulatov's hands by putting his weight on him, timing some calf kicks when they're at range, but it's really just a matter of time before Dulatov lands that fight-ending shot. It's basically, it's kind of the same thing as a John Pork fight where it's a striking showcase for the Muslim fighter. And in this one, they're bringing a dude out of retirement to get slimed out on national television for $15K. So this one's a little bit worse. This is a little bit more one-sided. The UFC really likes Islam Dulatov. He's also a fucking traitor too, bro. Grew up in Germany, and you get everything from that country. You get fucking rich off of modeling, and you're a professional fighter. And you go to represent Turkey because you're a fucking sellout, probably have never lived in Turkey, have nothing to do with Turkey, so fuck Islam Dulatov. I hope he gets slimed out, but he's a sick striker. But yeah, he's going to get this done easy. Round 1 KO, Islam Dulatov. Expect a straight punch down the pipe, puts down Wellington Turman. So let's move on to my boy, Astro Boy Steve Erceg versus the fucking steroid cheat. Jesus, he's a little goblin, huh? He is a goblin. But, yeah, this is another really tough one. This card is either, like, impossible. The fight is either impossible to predict or it's just the easiest thing ever. And if Temirov didn't test positive for steroids after his last fight against Johnson, I would have 100% picked him against Erceg. But the early explosiveness and speed is Temirov's entire game. And how does a positive steroid test affect this? Like, even when he was on the sauce, he gassed against Johnson early. What would have happened if he didn't get the bum that he fought before out in that first round? He would have gassed too. Like, so on the steroids, you gas early. What's going to happen when you're off them? Like, I feel like this whole fight is really just a question mark. And with the positive test for Temirov in mind, I have to lean Erceg. I think Erceg needs to get out of this first round, obviously. So I think he's going to want to try and grapple. He's going to want to try and get close. Or he's going to want to stay far out of Temirov's blitz and stay behind his jab. We have seen him get caught early. Once against Ode Osborne. Once against Kai Kara France. That's twice in his last maybe 4 fights where he's gotten sparked in the first round. So obviously that's scary, but I don't know. I think Erceg's going to be able to survive that blitz in round 1. Temirov is he's really one-dimensional. Like, he'll explode with a 2-piece. Erceg should be able to circle out. reset. And what, Tamarov's going to do that 10, 15, 20 times in the first round, and then what, he's going to be fucking gassed like he was against Charles Johnson. And I think Usyk should be able to implement the grappling, should be able to stay at range, and I'm confident that he wins the second and third round. I think Usyk can get this done on the scorecards. Because, yeah, I mean, Ramazan without the positive steroid test, you have to lean him just because it's a stylistic nightmare for Usyk. But with the steroid test in mind, it's just a huge question mark. You can't really bet on this fight because we don't know what Tamarov's going to look like without the roids. But yeah, I'm picking Usyk. Last week we went 11 for 12, and 2 of those picks were the fights were pick'ems, and I picked against the guys that were coming off of positive steroid tests, and actually both worked out. I was 100% accurate on those fights, so I have to follow my same philosophy. I am going Steve Usyk by decision, winning rounds 2 and 3. But let's move on to the main event of the night, which is Big Ank versus Bogdan Guskov. Sorry, fellas. All right, main event of the night. We got the Hitman versus Big Ank. I'm a big fan of Guskov, but this is a stylistic nightmare for him, bro. Like, especially on short notice. I feel like Guskov can get away with like the hands down striking style because he has a big speed advantage over the vast majority of the division. But Ank is also one of the fastest strikers in the division. Ank has a grappling advantage too. We saw him go to that fight. We saw him go to that in the fight against Jan, and he's got great teeps to the body. I think he can drain the energy out of Guskov with those two. Ank fights out of southpaw, so Guskov can't stay behind that jab. And we saw this in the Ozdemir fight when Guskov threw that naked straight punch, and Ozdemir slipped to the left, ripped a lead hook, and sparked Guskov. Like, I think Ankalaev is a better counter striker than Ozdemir. Bogdan's not going to have the jab because it's going to be open stance fight. He's out of orthodox, so he's going to throw that naked right. He also hasn't had a training camp, too, for Ankalaev. I know he was in the training camp against Jan, but this is a completely different fight. I think Guskov's going to throw that straight punch. Yeah, he's fast, but Ankalaev is so technical on the feet. I think he's going to be able to slip and crack Guskov and put him out. I'm expecting round 2 or round 3 KO from Ankalaev. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in this one. I know Ank usually doesn't get the knockout, right? Like, I think he got the decision against Rakic, decision against Alex Pereira. I think his last knockout was against Johnny Walker. Like, okay, he got the knockout against Johnny Walker, and before that, I think it was even a few years before the Johnny Walker and the title fight against Jan where he actually had a knockout too. But I think this style plays in to Ankalaev's striking style. If you know what I'm saying, I think Guskov likes to go first. He's not going to have the jab. He's going to throw a naked right. And I think it's just going to be the Ozdemir fight over again. Ank slips. Maybe he doesn't slip off to the left. Maybe Ank takes a step back and throws that straight right or that straight left instead of maybe a left hook like Ozdemir was doing. But, yeah, I think Guskov's going to get put out bad. I got round 2 or round 3 KO from Guskov. And I'm just going to put in my best bets at the end of the video here because the separate video I made last time didn't do very well, and yeah, I'm just going to keep it in one. So for my straight bets, I like Sola by knockout. That's sitting at plus 165. I like Patterson by knockout as well. That's sitting at plus 130. I like the Kuniev and Chanko parlay. That would be minus 140. Big Ank, Sam Patterson, and Abdul Hussein moneyline. That would be minus 130. Usyk by decision or Temirov by KO, parlayed with Dulatov under 1.5 rounds. That's minus 115. And then my cycle parlay is Usyk by decision, Patterson by KO, Walker by sub. That's plus 1450. Hope you guys tail the bets. Hope you guys liked the video. I finally got it out on time this week. So, yeah. Drop a like, subscribe, please. Trying to get my subs up. And I appreciate it if you made it all the way through. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.